Every, and I mean every crew member should be familiar with production paperwork. From PAs to coordinators and anyone in between, this video is for you. Accounting paperwork will be more geared to any crew members that are responsible for paying vendors and who have been given a petty cash flow or a P card. We want to take care of our vendors because they take care of us. My name is Michelle Caruso. Welcome to my channel where you learn how to get connected and thrive in the film industry. If you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. If you've been following along so far, thank you so much. This video fits within a series on how to get into the film industry and get quick but efficient training on how to be a PA. What if you could take this information with you on the job, flip through it when you need some help, and everyone is slammed? Film is a fast-paced industry. By being a proactive, independent crew member, you help your department run efficiently and add incredible value to the production. Become indispensable. That's how you stand out and get calls for shows you'd be psyched to work on. You'll be there for more than just the paycheck. If you're ready to take your passions to the next level, download my ebook. I'll provide a link below. Let me be clear, this is a higher level knowledge than what is covered in my PA Survival Guide, which is a fantastic free resource. There will be some duplication, but it's only to reinforce a foundation for more advanced knowledge. With this ebook, you'll have step-by-step instructions, learn from examples, download templates, and know the tripwires for common mistakes. I've trained PAs for 8 years. Trust me, I wish I had this when I was being trained, and I'll use it for my future trainings of PAs and crew. My intention is to sincerely meet a desperate need in the film industry to provide fast but thorough training. Okay, let's dive in. There are 2 branches in accounting, AP and Payroll. AP accounting handles paying vendors via check requests and POs. They also reimburse crews PC or P cards. Payroll handles paying the cast and crew. Turn in time cards, box rentals, and mileage forms into payroll. During this video, if I just say accounting, I'm referring to AP. Keep in mind, I'll be showing you examples of each type of paperwork. Each show and studio will have slight variations. Every piece of accounting and payroll paperwork you turn in needs to have a department approval signature. This could be the department head or someone who is managing the budget for the department. Check with your supervisor who will be responsible for signing all the paperwork and who needs copies. For me personally, I like a copy and scan of everything. Copy scan. In wrap, I usually have to turn over all my hard copies. More studios are becoming more digital and having scans are helpful to upload. I also like to be able to refer back to see where we bought something. There have been times where I've spent days looking for an item. You bet I keep that vendor in my back pocket for future finds. Always use black or dark blue pens to fill in anything for accounting or payroll. Paperclip everything with a smooth jumbo-sized paperclip. Other paper clips tend to tear the paperwork. Often I'll say to list the production company, which is not the studio like Netflix or Universal. A production company will be established for each show. Check with accounting or production on what the production company name is. Production is in charge of distro or distribution. This paperwork includes schedules, script revisions, and the crew list. As revisions are made, the pages will be printed on a different colored sheet of paper to reflect it's been updated. Let's dive into the production distro. Call sheet, a summary of what is filming that day, who is working, and department needs. The front of the call sheet lists the basic show information, general crew call, the scenes filming that day, location information, the cast, department needs, and an advanced schedule of what films the next day. The back of the sheet lists the crew working that day by position and department by hierarchy. It will also list their call time and any special notes. Lunch will be 6 hours after general crew call. Prelim, a preliminary call sheet printed on yellow paper to reflect the next day's call sheet. One-line schedule, also known as the one-liner. This is the shooting schedule of what is filming each day of production. Find the date of filming and look up to see what is filming that day. Prep schedule. During pre-production, a daily prep schedule will be released, which will have all the important appointments in a day. It will list meetings, scouts, whenever someone of note is traveling or starting on the show, rehearsals, fittings, set walkthroughs, etc. It's important to note when the tech scout and production meetings are scheduled to occur. The tech scout is when all department heads go to each filming location to discuss the day of filming and department needs. The production meeting is to iron out any further details before filming starts and ensure departments have met the script's needs. Day out of days. There will be a column for cast numbers and cast character names. Their cast number will be listed on call sheets and one-liners. Across the top will have the dates. Within the grid, it'll have notations like S for start, when they begin on the show, W for work, F for finish, meaning they are done on the show, and H for hold. The actor doesn't need to come into work but needs to be available. You may also see I for idle, similar to hold but is unpaid, T for travel, or R for rehearsal. Production calendar. The calendar for the run of the show. This will show the prep weeks, how many weeks out from filming we are, camera test days, filming days, scouts, production meetings, wrap days, and holidays. Sides. Half-letter sized sheets of paper that are the script pages filming in a day. Some areas are X'd out as an entire scene may not film the same day. On the upper left-hand corner, you'll typically see listed the name of the show, script date, and script revision color. On the upper right, you'll see the page number. On either side of the scene headings are the scene numbers. Scene numbers are listed on the call sheet and one-liner. COI, Certificate of Insurance. Production is responsible for issuing COIs to vendors. These are common to issue when renting items from a company. L&D, Lost and Damage. There will definitely be items that get lost or broken on a show. Get the L&D form from production. Be as detailed on what happened as you can. You may need to track down the original purchase receipt to reflect the value of the loss. If theft is involved and you need to call the police, let production know. You will need to get a copy of the police report. Crew list. Will list all the crew on the show. It will list the person's position, name, phone, and email. It will be organized by department and hierarchy. Now, I don't have an example for this one because, as you can imagine, it has a lot of sensitive information on it. Time cards need to be filled out for all crew and turned in weekly. They are typically turned into payroll on Friday or potentially Saturday if there's weekend work. You'll want to list the name of the show. There may be a place to list the production company, your name, the last 4 of your social security number, week ending, date will always be Saturday, work city, work state, union, leave blank if you're a PA, your position, hours for the week, and sign. If you fill out a mileage form, be sure to attach it to your time card. If you get a box rental, fill in how much you're due and attach the weekly invoice. Time should be listed in military time on time cards. Unless you run into a meal penalty situation, your lunch should be listed 6 hours after your crew call. I've provided a super handy chart on page 9 in my PA survival guide for handling these times. In some cases, certain positions are on a flat rate. In place of hours, you'd write worked or idle for unworked days. Check with your boss. If someone's on a flat, it's also likely that they'd get a cell phone reimbursement and car rental. Check with your boss. Box rental. If you've negotiated a box or computer rental as part of your deal, you'll need to turn in an inventory to payroll. Check on what information is necessary. Sometimes they need pictures and serial numbers. At the very least, your inventory should list your name, position, items, quantity description, models, and value. Don't forget to do the math if the work week is longer or shorter than 5 days. You do not get paid a kit rental on a holiday. A typical computer rental is $10 per day and maxes out at $500 for the run of the show. For a typical 5-day work week, that means you'd get paid $50. If you worked a 6-day, that means you'd get $60. Payroll typically requires you to turn in a weekly box invoice with your time card. Payroll will supply this form. Usually you'll need to list the name of the show, production company, your name, last four of your social, how much you're due that week, the week ending, and you and your boss's signatures. PC. Petty cash is the cash float lent to you to pay for items for the show. If your position needs buying power, be sure to fill out a PC request form, fill it out, and get it turned in ASAP. The start of the show is always hectic for everyone, and your department is going to need you to have buying power. So don't delay. Keep all your receipts for every purchase and return. Fill out a PC envelope every week or whenever you spent half of your float. Accounting typically needs 48 hours to reimburse your float amount. Receipts should always include the vendor name, address, date of purchase, description of what was purchased, and the total. This can be a bit problematic for restaurants that just give you a ticker tape receipt with totals. Ask if they can give you a more detailed receipt. If they can't, get a menu or print one off. And get a business card if the business name and address don't appear on the receipt. For any returns or credits, be sure to list your totals like this. When filling out a PC envelope, you'll typically need to list your name, position, department, name of the show, date you're turning in the envelope, total, and sign. Within the grid, you'll list your receipts from oldest to newest. For each receipt, you'll list the date, vendor, what was purchased, and amount. Some departments need to list coding, especially if you're buying for a specific set. Check with your boss. Make sure your supervisor signs the envelope before it gets turned in. Someone in your department may be responsible for tracking the budget. It will usually be a head of department, supervisor, or coordinator. Ask who needs a copy before turning it into accounting. Receipts go inside the envelope. Do not seal it. When taping down receipts, do not tape over any font as it will cause it to fade. Do not highlight anything. Most accounting departments are okay with you using the blank backside of paper that's due to be recycled. Make sure there's no department-sensitive information on it or has old distro that has your watermark. Any old distro should be shredded anyway. There are shred bins in the production office. For gas receipts, make sure it lists the price per gallon. On the receipt page, be sure to list the car make and model, license plate, and driver's name. For lunch receipts, on the receipt page, be sure to list the names of everyone who ate. Check with accounting on what the allotment is per person for a meal and allowed tip amount. If you're buying lunch for other people and they go over the meal amount, they owe you that money. Be responsible and keep people accountable. On the PC envelope, when listing the description for a lunch receipt, I typically list lunch times the number of people that ate. You'll want to make sure you stay within the allowed limits. When you're ready to close out your PC for the show, be sure to convert your coins to bills. Accounting doesn't want a bunch of change. P card. In addition or in place of a cash float, you may be granted permission to have a P card, which is a credit card lent to you for the show. Like PC, you'll have to fill out a request form. Credit cards usually take longer to come in, so get that request turned in ASAP. Be sure to get the billing address and phone number from accounting. Often it will be different than the production office address and phone number. Paying vendors. Typically, you only use PC or P cards when you're at stores that are chains. All rentals should be paid with a check. Ask accounting what their protocols are. Sometimes you need to get prior approval on a big purchase. Large purchases should be paid with a check. If it's your first purchase with that vendor, you'll need a W-9 from them to turn in with a check request. Always get an invoice. An invoice should list the company name, address, phone number, transaction date, items being purchased or rented, price per item, and total. If it's a rental, the rental dates need to be listed. Billing information should be the show name, production company, and address. Some vendors will allow you to set up an account. Typically, setting up an account means accounting has 30 days to pay a vendor, also known as a net 30 account. Ask the vendor what information they need to set up an account. You'll also need to get a W-9 to give to accounting. Sometimes they will have a pack of forms that accounting will fill out. Be sure to make it easy for them. Have a contact ready of whom they should send it to. If they are a film-friendly vendor, they may ask for the one sheet, top sheet, or credit sheet. Accounting will supply this form and send it over. It typically has all the bank information and references on it. Per transaction, you'll supply a PO number to the vendor and they'll send a statement to accounting at the end of the month. Accounting will make sure the POs match the statement and cut a check. Some vendors, especially mom and pop type businesses, cannot wait 30 days for payment. If that's the case, you'll fill out a check request for a faster turnaround. Accounting typically needs at least 24 hours to turn around a check. Since accounting needs at least 24 hours to turn around a check, be sure to keep your vendor posted on the timeline of payment. See if they need to have it delivered or if mail is okay. On the check request, be specific about when you need a check. Do not write ASAP. Find out when the item is being picked up or delivered. You may need to coordinate handing the check off to a driver or send a runner to an office to deliver the check. Ask your vendor on what their preference is for receiving payment. Some vendors are flexible on waiting on a check for a short period of time after delivering goods or services, while others need it beforehand. The last thing you want is crew driving to pick up goods when they can't until they have a check in hand. That will waste everyone's time and hurt the efficiency of the department. PO, purchase order. List the date, check if it's a purchase, rental, or service. Be sure to supply the vendor with the PO number. Get a quote or invoice from the vendor. On the PO, fill out the name of the vendor, requested by, department, date you're turning in the PO, rental dates if necessary, description, coding, and total. Some accounting departments will require you to list specific details like the quantity for each item, unit price, subtotal, tax, shipping if applicable, and grand total. Although most accounting departments are okay with a general list description, for example, staples, paper clips, paper, etc. Though I will say don't keep it too general. You never want to have a description that says crafty, list soda, chips, etc. Assets. Studios will have a price mark on what an asset is. During wrap, departments are responsible for creating an inventory of where all these assets are located. Sometimes accounting will want you to separate out an asset. Be sure to include tax. You'll want to be very specific with your asset description. As an example, instead of listing couch, specify whether it's a brown leather couch. That way, crew will be able to better identify items in wrap. Be courteous. We all get into binds. There's always going to be a change of circumstances that no one could have predicted, or a sudden difficult request from a boss. If you're going to need help or fast action from another department, give them as much heads up as possible. They will really appreciate knowing what's coming down the pipeline, so they can adjust and be able to deliver in a crunch. If you come rushing in as you need something, it puts everyone in a difficult position. They may have priorities of their own and may not be able to shift tasks right away. Remember to be polite. People are more likely to support you if you treat them with respect. Thank you for watching. I know this is a lot to digest, so be sure to download my ebook. I'm still coming up with a title. If you have suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. It takes a village to make a movie, so let's get empowered on how we can work together. We all work hard, so let's make it a little easier on ourselves so we can really enjoy filmmaking. Thanks, and I'll see you guys next time.